Jesus freak here. Just a little random jibber jabber this time than actually anything serious. But I'd been spending several years trying to find certain things that fit me. Because a lot of, more unusual types of clothes that I'm interested in buying seem to only go up to sizes just below mine. So, if I find something that interests me and I can find it in a size that I can actually put on, I'm on it like white on rice. I'm like, hey, they got, there's, this size has this chest measurement, this waist measurement, this length measurement. And I've basically empirically figured out what works. Sure enough, I was right. Anyway, I've been spending a few days not wanting to go anywhere because it's damn cold out. And today, after having gone out twice to pick out packages, the first package was, of course, this Holman Study Bible that I did a video about earlier today. Back down. And a t-shirt that I haven't tried on but should fit. And the second was a couple outfits I bought from Amazon. See, in the past, Amazon's mostly been using the post office and sometimes UPS to ship stuff to me. But once the current situation started, it's been, almost constantly, just shipping it themselves, and shipping it themselves, and shipping it themselves. And I've had a lot more money to throw around this month because of the last, I think it was either last month or the month before that they had the $600 checks. Some of it I've, spent on useless stuff by my standards. Some of it I've spent on stuff that, may have actually had a use, like the Portuguese Bible. Yeah, I did a video on that too. So, I decided to get out because, I'm going to run myself out of tea if I don't have pop. Which, to be fair, tea is the better option. But I was feeling the fiend, And I guess feeling a fiend for, carbonation is better than feeling a fiend for alcohol. I don't fiend for alcohol. I like to drink now and then. But I don't crave it. Anyway, though, weather wasn't really that bad out. It's cold. It's not that bad. I have been kind of sleepy lately. I think that's just a function of, This is the coldest part of the year, and of course, this part of the world. February is the coldest month of the year in my experience. I don't care what Dunkirk Dave or Punxsutawney Phil says. Actually, I know the whole reason behind the whole Groundhog Day tradition, and it has nothing to do with early spring. Well, it has to do with the definition of spring, really. And you'd have to talk about cross quarter days and equinoxes versus solstices as to some of the technicalities about, well, what's the beginning of the season? What's the midpoint of the season? That's a cultural thing. But we here have always, to my knowledge, used solstices and equinoxes. Japan, on the other hand, for one example I'm aware of, uses the quarter days. And, for example, China's lunar calendar bases the seasons off the quarter days as well. Although somewhat inaccurately, because lunar calendars are not as precise as solar calendars. Even in the English language, we do have examples of the alternative terminology having been common at some point. See, we have the words midwinter and midsummer. Guess what they refer to? Respectively, they refer to December 21st and June 21st. Not the exact days that American would think of as midwinter or midsummer. But according to some systems, yeah, that's the middle. According to that system, well, when does spring start? February 2nd. That's not a coincidence. As I understand, it was kind of a gag, oh, do we use the cross quarter days or do we use the equinoxes? Let's bring out an animal as a neutral arbiter. Eventually, it became a groundhog. I think originally it was a hedgehog. It became a groundhog when the tradition migrated over to the States. I actually did a sort of plot where I put all the days of various, festivals on a circle, divided into 365 parts. And it showed just how many of the festivals I was aware of were tied to these 8 points on the calendar. These points tend to be known in English as the spring equinox, May Day, the summer solstice, Lammas, which is in the early August, the autumnal equinox, All Saints' Day. Yes, it's where their Halloween ties into all of that. Yule, or the winter solstice. And Candlemas, which is Groundhog's Day. A lot of cultures have festivals on or around those 8 days. Not a coincidence. Neither is the symbolism of a maypole, a rod, a coincidence either. Nor the association of various festivals revolving around the concept of death around November 1st, give or take, including Halloween on October 31st. If you think about it, there's absolutely symbolism in those dates. Some of them have been co-opted for Christian purposes. Others haven't. The one associated with the vernal equinox, the spring equinox, March 21st, got combined with what was originally probably referred to as the Christian Passover, as it still is in many languages. It's Pâques in French, is some variant of Pasqua and various other Romance languages, because it comes from Pascha. The same term can mean both Easter and Passover in these languages, because originally they were the same thing, but they got combined with celebrations originally tied to the vernal equinox. Those celebrations were what we would have called Easter. They celebrated a dawn goddess known by various names. In English, it's Easter. There may have been similar names in other languages. The Grimm brothers conjectured that the original form of the name was Astara. We managed to co-opt it, and we moved the date to match with the celebration we already had that was kind of sort of tied to it. So that's how we have Easter. We co-opted Yule. The name Yule spelled differently, is still used in Scandinavia. A variation of the name is also used in Finland. And in all these countries, it refers, well, to Christmas. And most people, if they're talking about Yule in an English context, they're probably referring to Christmas. Of course, I use the word Yule. I refer to December 21st, the winter solstice, which is a couple days before Christmas. But at one time, the winter solstice actually was on the 25th. The symbolization of putting a festival dedicated to the birth of Christ on the shortest day of the year. I don't know what day he was born, but I guess someone said, this is as good as any to put it. I'm not certain of the significance of Candlemas or Lammas, except that the name Lammas apparently comes from the phrase that in modern English would be loaf mass. Maybe it was some sort of harvest festival. For early August, it makes pretty good sense. There's festivals in other cultures. The Japanese Tanabata on their old lunar calendar would have fallen about the same time. Now it falls on July 7th. Because when they moved their festivals, when they switched their calendar from a lunar calendar similar to what China uses to our calendar, they just shifted everything a month back. And that results in some really strange dates for certain festivals. Like a Farewell to Summer festival in early July. Because on their old calendar it was in August. And it would have made sense there because their end of summer would be more or less Lammas. And on their old calendar, Tanabata would have fallen there. For those of you familiar with Pokemon, there's a Pokemon movie revolving around the concept of Tanabata. It's Jirachi Wishmaker. I believe that's the 6th movie. So, basically, if you divide the year pretty much straight in 8 parts, I think that's about a month and a half between each one. You're going to find in various cultures that probably have something for each one of those, or for at least half of them. I just thought that was, an interesting thing I noticed. Jesus freak out.